Hello and welcome to Pinesdale. Today we start in the office of Q, our favorite small-town mayor. Mayor Q has spent his entire life in Pinesdale, Montana. At this point in time, he's been the mayor of this small town for about 5 years. The job comes with many perks and only a few downsides. Some of the perks, just to name a few. Most importantly, this job just makes Q feel important. Many people come to him with their gripes and issues, and he gets to have a say in how the community moves forward, and he gets some genuine pride out of that. But that's not why you get into politics. Q has a reserved seat at the local bar that they refer to as the Bay. When they walk into the diner in town, he doesn't even need to order. They just know. 2 over easy. 4 slices of bacon, couple slices of rye toast. Lightly buttered because Q wants to stay in Pinesdale for as long as he can. The perks do keep getting better though. You see, Q, well, he had a choice to make early on in his mayorship. You see, Pinesdale has a bit of a mafia presence. No real violence ever happens in Pinesdale, but bodies do somehow end up in the forest just outside of Pinesdale. Mayor Q pondered this decision about 5 years ago with his lovely wife, Yu. Do we really want to fight with the mafia? I became mayor for the reserved seat at the bar, not to go to war. So Q and Yu are talking it over. Q says somewhat hesitantly, you know, they're recruiting my best friend X. He's not a college man. There's not much else going on in our Pinesdale economy. If we kick the mafia out, what happens to my buddy X? His faithful wife Yu pushes back on this a little bit. She's a political woman herself, right? Inviting organized crime into Pinesdale just so your best friend doesn't have to work at the meatpacking industry doesn't really help the city much. Q says, you know what, Yu? Having organized crime in town really brings a lot of perks that public society just can't pretend to like, but private society holds very close to their heart. Yu, do you remember last winter when we got the 2 feet of snow on a Wednesday? By the time we had Pinesdale all shoveled out, it was Friday, aka payday, and the local drug dealer had to drive 50 miles to the next town. No one could get their shit until Saturday morning, and it fucked the whole weekend up. Q chimes in, that was a shitty weekend. Q confidently continues, well, if we invite the mafia or a similar crime family in, that won't be a problem anymore. Dare I say, everyone will be able to get what they need pre-snowstorm now. Think about all the good change we could make, you. And if they hire X, well, we won't have a man on the inside necessarily, but we'll have an ally. We could never get into specifics with X anymore. Plausible deniability is gonna be the #1 goal in that relationship. Yu pushes back again. But Q, you know that you tell each other everything. You once pooped naked in a public bathroom as a child and told him within 10 minutes. Let's get into a wild scenario right now where you invite the mafia into town so we can enjoy our winters. Something funny happens to X on the job, like he's not gonna tell you. Well, that doesn't count. Funny does not fall under plausible deniability, you. Q, people shit themselves when they die. Good point. Alright, hypothetically, if that ever did happen and X told me a funny guy pooped himself while dying story, would you like me to share it with you, Yu? I mean, yes, I would. We don't have to live a life of plausible deniability, that's why we said the vows. One of us learns of something funny, we tell the other one. That's the point of being a Q and a Yu. The two of them enjoy that little moment, and then Q gives it a bit of thought and thinks it feels right now. So, honey, mafia? Yu says, last winter really did suck. Let's go for it. Now that we've established that the mafia's coming to town after that lovely Q and Yu conversation, let's jump to the present. Our degenerate good man, X, it was the meatpacking industry, or this, and X is just the kind of guy that if he has to deal with dead bodies all day, he'd prefer them be human to animal. Pigs and cows are smart and cool and chill and funny, and most humans are not any of those things. The crime family's first order of business once they got to Pinesdale was to buy the local bar. It kept its name of the Bay, and the family put it in X's name. As long as X keeps up the good work, the Mafia's gonna allow him to keep it in retirement, because they care about their employees more than essentially any other company. Even the CIA doesn't give you a nice retirement bar. So today we find X just cleaning some glasses behind said bar. His best friend Q walks in, beelines for his reserved seat, sits down and looks at X, and Q says, "Buddy, some days I just thank God I'm only a mayor. My you would totally commit war crimes if we were on the national stage." Well, Q, at least we can take solace knowing no war will come to Pinesdale. And if war does come, you's not gonna commit the war crimes on you and me. True enough, X, but holy God of heaven, do I feel bad for the diner. You went on some big rant that they charged her for the blueberries in her pancakes? You'd think our shadow mayor would understand that if they put a product in the product, you have to pay for it. She just kept yelling at the waitress, "How hard is it to put blueberries in the pancakes?" The poor waitress was just stammering, I'm not the one that puts the blueberries in the pancakes. But you know, I don't think it would be that difficult. You know, we do put it on the menu that adding chocolate chips or blueberries is 75 cents. You just dug in again and said, how hard is it to put blueberries in the pancakes? That's when I had had enough. I handed the waitress $20 and left. They might still be yelling about it. It's 1985. Can you give me a Hams beer, buddy? Sure thing, Q. Q takes a deep gulp from the Hams and then asks, "How's your O doing, buddy?" "Oh, buddy, if I know her, she's somewhere sipping on a cocktail and making a nice beef broth." Q replies, "I really do love her soup. But how often does the day drinking turn into an issue?" X chuckles and asks, "For me or for greater society?" And then he gave the more honest answer, "She has a blow up about every 2 weeks or so. Wouldn't be surprised if she just sensed you freaking out at the diner and instantly transported there to be a part of it." Q downs the rest of his Hams beer and goes, "Well, wouldn't that be nice?" Referencing a joke rule from the two's childhood. It's called the 80-20. It's for men that are attracted to kind of a strong or, dare I say, bitchy woman. The key to living with peace with one of them is that they freak out on greater society about 80% of the time. And then you're in trouble for that last remaining 20% or so. And it's not like we're saints. I mean, you're a Q and I'm an X, for God's sakes. We're meant to be with them. Q cracks his second beer and goes, "U's and O's, man, U's and O's." So what's the last thing that fell in the 20% for you? X lights up a cigarette. "You betcha. It's 1985. And I did that on purpose. We're smoking in bars, baby." He thinks about it for a moment, and then he says, "I added dill to her chicken noodle soup. The customers told me it was a good thing to add, and, it wasn't, for multiple reasons. First and foremost, from the culinary angle, just a weird flavor in there. It takes some savory away, which is not what I get why I was mad, you know? Chicken noodle soup, savory. The second issue was that we just don't communicate well enough. I should have asked her about putting fresh dill in the soup before I did it." Q chimes in, "I mean, she can't be mad at society 100% of her outbursts. That's not fair." X chuckles in agreement. "Our wedding vows were, to death do us part, and I'm gonna upset her 20% of the time. Keep some of the outrage in the home. Keeps our family warm during the winter months, you know what I mean?" "Indeed," Q says. "The pure beauty of the 80-20 system is, our children get 0% of the outbursts. They get yelled around, not at. And the system allows us to kind of be with cool people. I mean, O's the best drunk driver I know, and she's always been nice to the outcasts of Pinesdale. She's a good woman." X smiles in agreement and goes, "And don't you be forgetting how awesome you is. She makes the necessary, difficult decisions around this town, and if that leads to yelling at a waitress about blueberries and pancakes once a month, then that's okay. There's a lot of people in this town that just yell at the waitress and don't save us any money on taxes." And on that note, X's mafia superior walks into the bar, effectively ending this conversation. Q leaves for probable deniability reasons. And that's where we'll pick up on the next episode of Pinesdale. Upon our return, will we find you still yelling at the waitress? And what job does the Mafia have in store for X? This and more on the next episode of Pinesdale.